Hello and welcome to the Mixtape podcast. I am your host, Mark. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's show. Before we get into the chat, just very quickly, if you enjoy the show this week, I would absolutely love it if you left a comment or rated the show 5 stars wherever you are listening. You can find all my social media links, my YouTube channel, and the full radio show on demand just by visiting the mixtapepodcast.com, and there you will find over 175 episodes just waiting for you to discover. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's Mixtape, and today on the show, what an honour and a privilege it is to be chatting to Captain Sensible. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
The Final Damnation 50th anniversary tour are coming to Auckland on the 8th of September, Sydney on the 10th, Brisbane on the 11th, Melbourne on the 13th of September. Thephoenix.au for tickets and info. Let's talk set list first, mate. What can Australian audiences expect from the set list on this tour?
Well, it's always difficult to write a set list because we're kind of three bands in one, really. We did the punk thing in 76, 77, and then we became a goth band in the early 80s, and that was quite big as well. And we kind of dabble in psychedelia and kind of garage psych as well. So there's that side to the band. We could arrange three completely separate set lists, for separate occasions. In fact, there's a place in Whitby in the northeast of Britain, and they have a goth fest every year, and we play a completely goth set. But we'll probably mix it up, but for these shows, you can't please everyone. They're always. I mean, the punks will be disappointed when you start playing Eloise and blah blah blah. But what can you do?
Can't please everyone all of the time, mate. Genre shift, like that you were talking about just then. Like, was it a conscious decision as a band to shift from like punk to more goth? Like, was it like what the music was of the times, or how did that come about?
It was a natural evolution, really, and as bands should. I mean, the Beatles changed so much in how long was their career? 8 years. I mean, I think every band should go through a musical journey and see where you end up. And that's certainly what we did, but it was never contrived or anything. We just went in the studio with whatever ideas you had and knocked up an album. And each one's just seemed to be different from the previous one. Dave, of course, was bringing darker material to the table. When we did Machine Gun Etiquette, our third album, he had a song called Plan 9, Channel 7, and then there was some of the songs, the material was getting darker and darker, and of course ended up with Phantasmagoria in the 80s. We all have our influences and our ideas, and we bring them to the studio, and somehow it homogenizes and becomes a kind of a whole sound, each album. But each one is different, and I think that's great.
If someone had told you, Captain, in 1976 that you'd be touring Australia 50 years later, what would you have said or thought about that?
Well, I thought punk rock was going to last 3 weeks. I never thought it would be successful either, because the big bands of the time, the stadium rock acts like ELP and Genesis and Yes, I mean, they were so big and so popular, and we were playing in little pubs, and even then the pubs weren't full of people. It was like sort of about 50 people in the audience. And most of them were your rival bands, like the Sex Pistols, the Clash, the Stranglers. So we were watching each other, kind of supporting each other. And I never thought that punk would be successful the way it was. Not that it's ever been. Punk's never been kind of the, preeminent kind of music. It's always been something else. Disco was huge when punk was on the go. I mean, that's why we kind of we wrote all these songs like slagging it off. But I never thought I'd be playing it in 50 years later and visiting places like Australia and New Zealand. I mean, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Over 50 years, Captain, you must have some cracking stories, but just give us like maybe, I don't know, one of your best tour stories that's happened or, you've witnessed over the years with the band.
Oh, well, we like to, bands play with each other and we like to prank each other and, or sometimes there's a bit of needle between bands. So we did a tour with Marky Ramone. Marky was playing with the Misfits. That's right. He was playing drums with the Misfits. So he didn't get on with our drummer at the time, Pinch, and it was mutual. And at the end of the tour, Pinch put this, he went down to a local market and got this big old wet fish, and he put it in his bass drum. And at the end of the show, knowing that Marky wasn't going to do a show for a few months. Anyway, when Marky opened up the bass drum, the rehearsals, the next tour, it was just full of maggots, and he had to throw the drum away. And it's stuff like that, There was a gig we did with the Ruts, and we'd been playing Led Zeppelin through their monitors while they were on stage. So they got us back on the last gig of the tour. They went to a farm and they got 5 sacks of horse manure, and they spread them on the stage while we were playing. And everyone was rolling around covered with horse shit, including members of the audience.
Fantastic. That's so good. The first thing that sprung into my head when I knew I was going to be interviewing you today was this. I'm not trying to start a sort of a legal beef or anything like that. I don't know where you are with your trademark or your copyright or anything like that. But are you aware that in Australia we have a beer called Captain Sensible?
Oh yes, I did. I actually tried a can of that. Yeah.
There it is, right there. I've covered up the brewery name so they know we're not advertising. Yeah, yeah. It's a mid strength, so it's like a light beer, as you know, if you've tried it, and it's obviously in Australia. If you're the designated driver, you're often called the skipper or the captain. So if you're drinking the light beer as a designated driver, then Captain Sensible, it makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not a bad beer actually. I don't mind if they're a mid strength. It's not bad at all. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's quite nice because people come to shows and they bring me cans of it, and they say like you did, have you tried this? I said, yeah, thank you very much, I will. So
Excellent.
yeah,
No, that's good. Yeah.
I don't mind people giving me beer. So perks of
No, of course not. No, perk of the job. Perk of the job. What advice, Captain, would you give to a young punk band starting out now, or any band, not just punk, any band?
It was really the wrong person to ask. But what I would say is, because if you want to be successful nowadays, you've got to do all the bullshit nonsense like choreography and mix cheating and like sort of, auto tune and all those dreadful studio techniques that make records sound so unlistenable. That's what you've got to do nowadays. But if I was going to give advice to a band, I would say keep it real. Just be a proper band. Write your own songs. Don't cheat. Don't, and avoid most of these powerful studio plugins that they use on the computers. Like auto tune and all the compression and the sonic maximizers. It makes it unlistenable to my ears anyway. I mean, there are bands around nowadays, playing garage, psych, and punk bands who are keeping it real, but there's so much dross around. I mean, we see them at festivals. We might go on a festival after a band who's sounded so good, but you realise, well, there's nobody on stage playing that acoustic guitar I can hear, and all those backing vocals and the tambourine and the drums even are not live. You think, bloody cheats, mate, they are.
Yeah, I know a lot of bands that sort of do the backing track thing now as well. Like a lot of it's a cost thing as well. No Sleaford Mods, do you know them? Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw them in Perth recently, and it was basically just them two on stage with a laptop. Like, that was it. But still great, do you know what I mean? Like, because their presence is just, lyrically, they're amazing. But you don't go to Sleaford Mods for the music. I don't think it's more the lyrics and the sort of, the stage presence. But yeah, that does go on a lot at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I like them. I like this stream of consciousness kind of punk rock lyrics.
Yeah. No, they're fantastic. Yeah, they were really good. They were really good live. When people look back on the Damned in, say, go forward another 50 years, what do you hope people think and say about the band and their legacy?
Blimey, I don't know. When we started, we were this DIY thing. We were fairly uneducated, school wise and also musically, but we really kind of somehow managed to make these great records. Despite where did it come from? I don't know.
With bands like the Damned and bands that have that much longevity in the industry, I think it's something you can't put your finger on. It's the inexplicable alchemy of those people coming together at that time. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, you can't really, it's not a tangible thing or a conscious effort. It's just a serendipitous moment of the right people coming together at the right time and creating what you created, I think is what it sort of boils down to for me anyway.
Yeah, and all despite our, chaotic kind of personalities, which, we used to really upset record labels and, well, everyone really. I mean, I got banned from British TV for 6 months for shooting a cameraman with an air rifle up the arse. So, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
So we kind of managed to be reasonably successful despite all our best attempts to kind of put the kibosh on it.
This is the Mixtape.
All right, Captain, let's get into your mixtape track choices. Track 1 of your mixtape, I asked you to pick an attention grabber, and you chose Stepping Out by Joe Jackson. What makes that an attention grabber for you?
Well, it's kind of an easy. It's a strange one for an attention grabber, but for me, it's so beautiful and so it's easy listening, yes, but it's just such a beautiful melody and so original. It just fills my heart with joy, and it's an amazing track. And whenever I hear it, I have to sit down and really concentrate on that. The beautiful structure of the melody and the way Joe's pieced it together. It's just so brilliant, so brilliant. Yeah, it's the perfect pop song.
I read somewhere that in the studio, he played all the instruments himself on that, apart from drums, but he played everything else, keys and bass and guitars and everything. He played himself on that track.
Wow, yeah, quite a clever bloke. Yeah,
He is, yeah, for sure.
But it's an inspirational lyric as well. I mean, there's a beauty in it, and it's about getting old and the joy of life and stuff.
Track 2, Captain, I ask you to choose a song that you sing loud and proud in the car or the shower, and you chose Born to Be Alive, Pat Hernandez.
Yeah, it's almost another perfect pop song candidate, really. I do some 80s shows sometimes in Europe, and I met Pat Hernandez, and he did Born to Be Alive, and I just thought, oh, that's just incredible. And I said to him, what an amazing song it was, and he said I didn't want to record it. I was a rock and roll guy, the same as you, that I was doing a song called What? He was doing Born to Be Alive. I was doing a bloody disco song called What? On this show, this 80s revival show. We're both the same, We're both kind of from, the more grungy side of life. But for some reason, you end up in a studio and you do something completely different. And that's the one that's successful. So we both had a laugh and a drink over that one. But it's a great, great tune, Born to Be Alive. And once again, really inspirational lyric. And I sometimes walk my dog. The dog loves the song as well.
Are you familiar with Amel and the Sniffers, I take it, the Australian punk band? Do you know them?
Yes, they're one of Rat's favourites.
Yeah, they do a cover version of that. Oh, it's a really early one of their 7-inch singles. I think it's on there. Cracking version. Yeah, they've punked it right up. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, you'd love it, I reckon. Yeah, it's really good version of that. If I get time on the radio show, I'll drop that in at the end because it's well worth a listen. Speaking of cover versions, track 3 of your mixtape, Captain, pick your favourite cover version. You chose the very popular in this category, With a Little Help from My Friends by Joe Cocker.
Yeah, because if you're going to do a cover, a really decent cover, you've got to completely transform it. And the Beatles one was kind of twee and like sort of, easy listening. And Joe Cocker's one like kicks it right up the arse and transforms it into something completely different. And Joe's performance on that, on the recording, and also of the his performance of it at Woodstock, is just out of this world. The bloke is so into the kind of delivery of the lyric. It's like sort of he's possessed. It's incredible. And that blood-curdling scream that he does, do you need anybody? Oh! It's just amazing.
No, it's a sensational version. That gets, like I said, that gets picked a fair bit. And people often cite the Woodstock performance as a standout on that as well. Yeah, great choice for the cover version, mate.
He was like a welder in a steel factory or something in Sheffield. Yeah. And the next minute, he's on stage at Woodstock. It's just amazing story.
I know. As well. Track 4, Captain, asked you to pick song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self. And you chose Don't Say I Didn't Warn You by the Sensible Grey Cells. Familiar sounding band name.
Yeah, you said not to pick any by yourself. But
yeah, no, that's fine. That just about sneaks in. It just about sneaks in, that one, yeah.
This one was written by Paul Gray, my colleague. And it's the best song that I've ever heard that lyrically that is such a pertinent warning to like sort of my younger self, if it could have ever been played to me, to keep the bloody volume down, on stage, because here I am, like sort of, I've lost so much of my hearing. I'm just about, and Paul as well. We can just about perform, with the aid of the in-ear monitors we use now. It's kind of prolonging the career. But I could never play with like sort of just wedges and monitors on the floor anymore. It would just kill my hearing. I mean, I have to run out. If I'm sitting on a train these days, and there's a baby crying, a couple of seats away, I have to change carriages. I just cannot handle that frequency. So I wish I'd played with less volume. And that's advice to any youngster out there who's putting a band together.
That's great advice.
It's such good fun playing with a double Marshall stack. There's nothing better, but it don't half damage your ears.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. I feel you there. I've had tinnitus since I was 18. I'm 53 now. Yeah, so that was just, Walkman, clay pigeon shooting, gigs. Do you know what I mean? Like all the things that you're not supposed to do. Yeah, and my son now, he's 13 and he listens to sort of quite heavy music, Slipknot and Metallica and stuff like that. And I can hear it in his headphones when he's around. And I said, mate, like you got to be careful. And he's just like, oh yeah, Dad, whatever. But I'm like, oh, you do not want it because it's horrible. The tinnitus is the worst, absolute worst. All right. Track 5, Captain, a love song for a romantic interest. And you chose the mighty Pentangle, One Side of Sweetheart. Tell us about that one. What a band.
Yeah. And what a lovely voice Jack and McShee had. It's not the sort of song you want to play to a prospective, like sort of, of a girlfriend, really, because it's about it's a really, really sad, melancholy song about sort of, a love affair that is no more. But it's just so beautiful and so romantic and so it's such an amazing recording. The interplay between the guitar and the sitar in the middle section is just so exciting. It's just really psychedelic folk, I don't think anyone did it better, really. But it is very beautiful and very, very romantic. And love is, sad when it's gone, isn't it? I haven't had a lot of kind of relationships in my life, but and if I do have any regrets, it's like sort of maybe the way I behaved. So the song would mean something to me.
I don't think you can go wrong as a group with, you've got like John Renbourn, Burt Yanch and Danny Thompson. Like that is like of the time, like that is an absolute winning formula, isn't it? It's gonna be great, isn't it? Like they must have been buzzing when they put that band together. So good. That was amazing. I actually found that out a Basket of Light album in a charity shop on vinyl about 5 years ago. I couldn't believe my luck. I paid like $1 for it, an Australian dollar for it. Yeah, and I remember like flicking through, and it's got like the sort of that album's got like the lights sort of reflecting on the front cover, innit? And I saw it and I was like, "Oh, surely not." Yeah, I was, "Oh my God." Yeah, quick, get out the shop, pay the dollar and get out the shop quick. I think it goes for about $100 now. Yeah, I was so excited by that. It was great. All right, we'll squeeze the last one in, Captain, while we've still got time. Track 6, deep cut album track or B-side, and you chose Egg. Yeah, I'd never heard of these or this song. Tell us about that one.
Well, I used to go to every rock show that came through Croydon. On Sundays at the Croydon Greyhound. We had a succession of incredible bands. Right at the start of Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, the Groundhogs, Pentangle. This band called Egg, Roxy Music later on, and I watched that Rory Gallagher, of course. I watched every show, but this band, I mean, it was just like a musical education, really. I'd stand right down at the front as well and watch like Rory Gallagher's fingers, watch the chord shapes that he was putting together, and all the jangle strings that the drone strings he would use. And anyway, for this band, Egg, they sounded like a three-piece, guitar-based rock band. But there was no guitar on the stage. It was like an organ through fuzzbox stuff. So I thought, wow, incredible, It was a blitzkrieg of noise. I mean, when you play this song, the audience will think, wow, it's got to be a guitar, but it's not. It's fuzz organ. Then the song is epic, and it goes through all these beautiful changes, and the lyric about getting in the van and doing gigs, and like sort of the girls that I used to hang around with, and getting chased by skinheads. I mean, it's just a wonderful lyric about like sort of the life that they led back then. It's a great song, yeah. It's epic as well. It's one of the heaviest riffs in rock and roll.
I was thinking when you said epic there, I was thinking earlier about when I said about I might drop the Ammo and the Sniffers in if I got time. And then I just realised that's like an 8.5 minute epic, that song. So I may not have time in the show to drop it in, but I will do my absolute best. Captain, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today, mate. Thanks so much for making the time. Safe travels down to Australia. It is the phoenix.au for the Final Damnation 50th anniversary tour. All the ticket links and information you can find there. Thanks so much, mate. Take care. See you when you get here.
Yeah.
Cheers, Captain. Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's Mixtape. If you enjoyed this show, then please subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, or leave a comment on whichever platform you are listening. And don't forget, you can check out over 175 archive episodes just by visiting the mixtapepodcast.com. There you'll also find social media links, YouTube channel, and the radio show, including the songs chosen by this week's guest. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.